Solutions, LLC, and a government approach subcontracting specializing in advanced digital manufacturing and quality innovation. He has an MBA from Pepperdine and an MS from Choate State University and a bachelor's from Washington State University, and brings a unique expertise in bridging military logistics systems excellence with cutting edge commercial applications. Currently, John is active in throughout ASQ and several different professional communities. He serves as the ASQ's National AI Committee and is recognized speaker on Industry 4.0 technologies, which you'll be getting into, I believe, tonight.
Yes.
His presentation will explore how blockchain, ASQ 4.0, and AI are revolutionizing quality management and supply chain transparency in digital age. He's currently also serving as our publicity and outreach chair. And yeah, so his topic is unlocking the future of quality management, advanced technology transformation, industry excellence. And as I said, it's covering the AI. And I think we are all pretty excited, John, to see what you have. I know you've presented once else this year already and just building, I think, off that.
Yeah.
All right. So the floor is yours.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Well, let's see. Let's say I'm trying to say it. Someone else is sharing, so I guess I do replace.
Yeah, just go ahead and start it.
Okay.
That'll shut me off. I'll also shut down.
John, were you part of the Air Force as well? I apologize.
Oh yeah, no, I was an
Hey,
Air Force combat logistics officer in combat for 6 years.
Okay, thank you very much for your service. That's one of the most important accolades you got there. So I apologize, I missed that.
Oh no, it's all part of the thing. I'm trying to get it. There we go. So my name is John Choate. So I thought this was I changed the topic a little from when we were going to start based upon a lot of different inputs. So I've done presentations on 4.0, but I wanted to expand it with blockchain and also AI some and show the interconnectivity and how it affects us as quality. And so in my career field, I'm probably considered more of a supplier quality engineer. I've been on site in the US and other foreign countries in that. But a lot of it, if you trace back to my Air Force background where quality was essential, especially in nuclear weapons. I started as an ICBM launch officer, and then when I moved into logistics, I handled nuclear weapons. So traceability and advanced technology is very important. So I've sort of combined it. And if you look at this banner, it's going to be very appropriate when we start talking about blockchain. And you see all this interconnectivity on how everything is laced together. And to me, it's analogous to like a chain link. And there's only one entry point. So with that, I want to move forward. So what I've done, and you'll see I like colorful presentations. And so what I've done is I've broken it down into 7 sections with an appendix. And the appendix is some of the what I consider relevant information from previous presentations I've done. So I've included in there, and it also has my little bio. So the first section, we're going to just sort of start about what this all sort of means. Then we're going to sort of trip down memory lane on 4.0, what the digital revolution means. And you'd be surprised, some people really still don't know. Then about what blockchain is and the impact it's having on technology, as well as you can sort of say the pressures it's putting on the quality professional today. And I'll give you some real world examples and some out of my personal experience where you can see that with this new technology and the interlacing, it's really saving time and it can have really fast impact. And then sort of putting it all together. And then here's the fun section. For people that think that AI is going away, well, surprise, it's not. So we're on the Industrial Revolution 4.0 right now. Some people say we're slipping in 5.0, but by the way, 6.0, 7.0 is out there, and they're even talking about even more. And this is beyond 2030, 2040, 2050. So it's not going away. So I think the most important thing is what impact it has to you. And so let's look at the first thing, sort of, I like to say on the personal side. I think it'd be really nice that you could sort of predict when your brakes are going to go out of your car. Well, your new smart vehicles are starting to do that, showing all kinds of diagnostics and different brands of cars. Better recalls. This was the scary part when I did the research on it, and I can relate to it. Recalls used to take as much as 2 weeks. Now it's down to 2 seconds, and I'll show you how as we go through the slide presentation. We have a little thing there on farm to fork, which is actually a fun technology. No counterfeits. You would be amazed at the counterfeit and what an enterprise it is. I had a friend, she was the port master of LA, and her whole job was catching counterfeit product by the shiploads and to the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's very important. Another is higher quality. With all this technology and linking, now we're starting to see significant advances in quality and product and services. Now on a professional level, you'll have some fun when we talk about what are some of the fun excuses of why you can't do it. But for the most part, the digital age is here. With 4.0, really, it marks the digital age. And what you're seeing is there's going to open up new opportunities in quality, not only from an individual standpoint, but being very, very connected to the technology and what it's going to help you with. And it's going to have that you'll see better workplace. You're going to have AI assistance. You're going to have faster access to data and be able to really be able to do some decision making in real time versus maybe taking days, hours, or even sometimes week. Competitive advantage. Not everybody's embracing AI. Let's be realistic. We've gone through sort of the leaders, the innovators, to the leaders now. Now we're sort of getting into the pack and the bell-shaped curve of more and more people are looking at they're going to have to use it. And then it's going to be, how am I going to use AI in these different areas? And by the way, when we talk about digital, AI is part of that digital world, but we also have Internet of Things, sensors, it goes on and on and on. So there's a lot of aspects. So the more that you can link them together, the more that you're going to have better solutions faster. And then future proofing, you're going to understand where the industries are going today. You know, some of them are actively doing it. To some of it, it says, oh yeah, I hear it in the news, I read about it. But guess what? It's going forward and it's affecting us in every aspect, both in our personal life and in our professional life. Now, so sort of the big game changer, if you look at technology, is really 3 areas. And I've shown here linking it. First is the quality 4.0, the smart manufacturing. So you have manufacturing on the line, you've got robots assisting it, you get faster throughput. In one company where I was introducing robots, we had one machine could replace 100 people, and we were doing fine tuning on relays. We made a conscious decision to delay it because of our workforce and what we wanted to do. But smart manufacturing is now becoming, it's not vogue, it's the reality of manufacturing today. Then you have blockchain. And like I said, if you think about blockchain, you think about a metal mesh, it's all interlinked. There's only one data point, but every node there's a verification point. So it's tremendously important in tracking. Now, in some industries, it's not important, but when you see some of the examples I'll say, you'll find out and say, gee, that really makes sense. Gee, how were they doing it before? Well, I can tell you how they were doing it before. Warehouses with boxes and boxes of records you had to go through. And then the third item here is AI, superhuman inspection. So I was fortunate in my career coming up as a research biologist. I actually did a photomicroscopy and electron microscopy with electron microscope. So that was really was a new world to me and eye-opening in what you could see. Well, it's becoming more and more a norm, especially as we get into the world of like semiconductors and looking down to subatomic levels. And so you put these three together and you're making an unbelievable chain especially in manufacturing, but other areas, whether you call it production or you call it services, that we've never seen achieved before in our history. Now, wanted to take for some of us down a little trip down memory lane that, so we're at quality 4.0. So if you look at quality 1.0, that's around 1890. So we have, productivity was priority, get it out the door. We don't really want to measure it. Hey, we might do it a little. Then we started evolving, quality 2.0. Then we went into 3.0, where we're up now to 95. And then now from 95, so think about this, 1995 to the present is where quality 4.0 is. And ask some of your colleagues, tell me what quality 4.0 is. Some they'll really know if they're really into digital technology, and some they won't know. But the key point is here now, we're starting to use sensors, we're using robotics, we're doing more automation than we've ever done, and we're going from a reactive to a proactive environment. And that's very key. When I was in the Air Force, the worst thing when I was a maintenance officer and doing work, I got tired of getting up meetings and looking at history and saying, how can I predict something? How can I do predictive analytics? How can I get our maintenance program better? How can I do this? How can I do this? And this is no joke. Some of you can relate. My chief looked at me and says, look at that report and analyze it, and I'll tell you what the answer is. The report was taller than me and I'm 6 foot high. And I says, okay, this is gonna be a long episode. So I helped pioneer, predictive analytics in the Air Force and maintenance because I just got tired, honestly, of being beaten up at staff meetings. Now, so how does quality 4.0 work? Smart manufacturing. Sensors everywhere. So you see here, you've got the power, you got the central, you got the microprocessor. And that's really key. The microprocessor and the level of sophistication and what you can do is really in the microprocessor. So you can say a phone's a phone, a TV is a TV or whatever, but it's really is your capability that's in that microprocessor. And then you have your RFID communication going on. And then if you think about it, you throw AI in here now, and you've got millions of data points that you're being analyzed per second. Now, some people will argue it's not as fast as the brain. Some people will argue that the robots are faster than that. It's the key thing is there's got to be an interaction. And the key thing is that you're having access to data a lot faster. And so it's going to allow you to see problems a lot faster. This one instant actions, you stop production. From coming from production environment, I remember if you stop the line, go find your replacement. And it's like, no. Now, if you find a critical error in your production, especially with some of the level of detail it is, you really do want to stop the line. And when I'll show you, like when you're dealing in semiconductor, the cost for a small chip is almost mind-boggling. So you really have to stop the line and fix the problem. And so bottom line now, as we've moved into smart manufacturing, what we're really talking about is like we've got 1,000 engineers all over the place now that are embedded into the technology itself, feeding information, going through this processing is making us more aware of what the situations are that are going on. So these are all real benefits. I verified this. You'll see I've got an extensive reference list back here when I go through it. This is, I kid people, I'm saying, other than you want to increase customer service, increase revenue, increase profit, lower costs, get the product faster out there, or enhance team productivity, what else you want to do? Well, that hits it all. And so you can see now the more that we're bringing digital technology in, we're linking technology together, i.e. blockchain, AI, quality 4.0, we're seeing significant savings. And you say, oh, I don't believe this. Well, I've done it, and I can tell you, when I was working at Medtronics, we actually cut our new product introduction 20% in launching new medical products. We cut our costs 40%. So it's reality. It can happen, and your customer service goes out of sight, and you have happy customers, and that's the key thing. Now, blockchain. So you'll hear a lot of people talking about blockchain, but what I've done here is giving an example on the right, but a little talk about it. So you have before you had tons and tons and tons of records. So I was in an aircraft company one time and told to get some records because we had some issues going on. And I went to a warehouse, and all I could see was records as high as you could go to the ceiling, as far as you could go. And the rats were having a lot of fun eating all the cardboard boxes. Well, the key thing here is you've got all of this in this traditional mode. Now we go to blockchain. So the key thing here is you think about a chain, and you only have one entry point. And you're going to have nodes throughout the chain where you're going to have verification, but you're not going to be able to let people in to change the data in that. So you have a really more complete record than you've ever had before. And you say, gee, I think that's overkill. Well, if you've ever been through an FDA recall, which I have, it is not a pleasant exercise. And you think about people's lives and the millions of dollars in the lawsuits, it's very heavy into the medical industry. And then you think about how important it is in aerospace and defense to have all of these records, especially as aircraft or some military vehicles are becoming aged. It used to be, when I was in the service, 20 years was the life of a product of a major system in the service. Now you see the biggest example is the B-52. The B-52 was actually introduced in 1948, and I think they're on Rev J now. And it's not the same aircraft, but it's been modified, and you have to have complete supplier history. Now, if you look at the example over here, what I've done is to make it sort of a little more fun, I've taken a diamond. So you think about how blockchain, and you want to know all of it, how it works. So you've got the mine and you pull out a diamond. Well, you're going to certify that diamond on the blockchain. So you're going to do it. But then you send it to the cutter. Well, that diamond might be broken down into several diamonds, and they're going to be recorded. They're even etched in that with the mine that they're coming from, the lots and everything else. Then they're going to go to like a distributor house, like in the Netherlands, and they're going to be sold. And then all of a sudden you're going to see jewelry, diamonds come to a jeweler somewhere in the world. And so it's being distributed more and more in the world. So that's why the network really has to be interaction all over the world. They're going to set it in a ring. You're going to come in and buy it. You got it. Guess what? You're going to insure it. But what's one of the big things if you have a mega diamond ring or piece of jewelry in that gets lost or stolen, and they say they recover it, you want to know if it's fake or real, you're going to want complete verification of it. So that's example how blockchain can go all the way back to were diamonds replaced? Is it the original setting? Is it the original diamond? All of that. So that's how blockchain really fits into the scenario to really having a audible, traceable record from basically the mine all the way to insurance. Now you're going to see that in some other case. Now here is the food industry, and they finally call it farm to fork. And basically what you're doing here with blockchain, you're doing with AI, and you're doing it with Quality 4.0. You're basically tracing all the way from the soil conditions, the seeds, the fertilizers, when it's harvested, where it was harvested, what farm, how it's processed, then it's transported, and then it's stored. And then, God forbid, it's contaminated. So you think, whoa, gee, that's a lot of money. So if you ever go to a store and you want to see the highest level of sophistication you can see in technology, you never believe it. Look at Driscoll's and look at their history. I actually, in the Bay Area, actually interviewed with them, and a little out of my career field, but I thought it interesting. I wanted to go see it. And they have the most sophisticated tracking system in the world I'd ever seen on tracking all of their products all around the world, how they grow it, how they optimize it genetically, and then have the traceability all the way to the counter until it's sold on that. And then if anything happens on a recall, they can trace it anywhere on any one of their farm locations around the world. So this is an example of how technology, blockchain, the quality of the product, all is together in the agricultural. And by the way, in the state of Arizona, agriculture is one of the top industries that they're using the Quality 4.0 and the blockchain in that, and you're starting to see drones now in foreign countries where they're actually sampling and picking on the trees itself. Now, you bring in more a little to home, what I did here is I gave you sort of 3 examples to really put this together. So guess who hasn't been to Walmart? So guess why Walmart is one of the leaders? Because of the contamination, and they want to track it. They're now saying it's gone from weeks to 2.2 seconds. If they have an issue with contamination, they can literally issue a recall immediately. And that's what the traceability they have with their system. But also by having this, they're looking at reducing food waste, and you probably didn't think about it. You can even scan the QR code to see the complete food history of that particular product. So that's something real world. Now, excuse me, for all of you, if you've never been in the diamond industry, De Beers is probably the oldest and largest diamond company out there in the world. And so this becomes very imperative to them how they lock it together, because what they want to do is they want to track mines all the way from the mine to the source. They don't want these fake diamonds getting in there. They don't want blood diamonds getting in there. And it's very important for the insurance. So see, this is very important. And the one to the right, which is very near and dear to us, if you've ever worked in aerospace and defense, is an aircraft with parts tracking. And if you don't think it's essential, I've been in aerospace probably 25% of my life. And I was in one industry where we were making relays, and there were actually nine relays in a Boeing plane that if any one of them failed, guess what? The plane fell out of the air. So needless to say, you can imagine what the quality it was and we were constantly recording stuff. And now with the new technology, and especially with Boeing, and another area that you're not aware of, and I'll talk to a little later, is if you think about Rolls-Royce and some of the engines that are on these Boeing aircraft, they're giving real-time data and doing predictive analytics, whether it's on the ground or in the air. That's how sophisticated we've now become. Now, here's this can be a touchy area and say, oh, gee, AI and quality. Well, we don't need humans very much. Well, yes, we do need humans, but now we're getting to some areas now that are beyond the human eye, and we really have AI working in consonant with some of the high-tech microscopes, catching defects at the lowest levels that you can see. So you can see up here 1/100th width of a human hair, and you could find color variations. So if you haven't seen it, I've seen it in some companies. They bring a gun out and they'll actually shoot the paint, and they can tell you how far the paint has faded from the original color with these paint guns they now have in the auto industry. And then you'll say medical device. Well, especially if you've been in the world like I have been as a class 3, it's very critical that you watch it. And a hairline crack could be a leak, and it could be detrimental to the person. And if you're in a class 3 device, that means life-threatening. Person could be dead. Advanced capabilities, multispectrum, pattern recognition, X-ray, microwave, all of this is there now and being used more and more and being enhanced. And so we're now coming from really sort of a reactive to a predictive. And so this becomes more and more critical in today's environment, especially as we're advancing different types of materials, technology, and really taking some stuff to the breaking limit. I found interesting. So if you haven't heard this term, it's called lights out manufacturing. And this is where you'll see up here in the top right corner, where you've got a combination of limited human presence and you've basically got robotics. So I've given here is 2 scenarios. And the more and more as we become more automated, going to more robots and becoming scarcer in some of our workforce, you're just starting to see robots come more and more. And guess what? You're going to see less lights in different area. So that's what they call lights out manufacturing. So how do you sort of make it all work? So I sort of just made it very basic. First of all, you want to start it as a small project. As I say, it's better to start small, fail fast, and then scale than go and then just sink the whole ship at one time. And then the second is data foundation. And the key here is make sure you have clean data. You know, I've seen many projects fail because they didn't look at their data, they didn't cleanse it and make sure it was right before it. And then the third step is you're going to hear all pros and cons, all robots, all human, whatever. But as you see, as we're advancing technology, you're going to see more and more of a human interaction with robots. In fact, Generation 5 is really about robots playing nice with humans and humans playing nice with robots. So that's coming up. We're entering that in 25, 26. Sort of on the far right, what are the common success factors? Clear business objective. This is where a lot of technical people fail. How does it tie into the business? Why is it making the business more successful? Then you've got your executive sponsors. You're going to have employees involved in doing this, and you're going to have a gradual rollout. The more gradual it is, the more successful it is because you can test it. Now, one of the things, and Bob brought to me this tension, it's sort of fun. If you're not aware, we've got a new assistant called Quincy. And what I've done on the right here is bottom right, that's the website that you go to, and you have to register on it. And it's like having the book of knowledge in your back pocket. And you can ask all kinds of questions, and it's something new. It's just been unveiled, and it's quite a fun toy. I just started exploring with it. And so you can ask it all kinds of questions. So what I did, to show you an example, I went in and I asked a question. I said, okay, Quincy, what are the top quality problems in the USA? And then you see the answer. It's got reference, statistics, and telling you other areas that you might explore. So it's going to be a powerful tool for us as quality people. And it's basically locked into your book of knowledge so that you can go in and ask questions, post problems and that, and come up with the book of knowledge as a reference guide to help you solve problems. So again, it's called Quincy, and that's the website. Now, what I wanted to do is sort of 3 quick examples and being cognizant of time. First is the Boeing 787, and this is where they tied quality 4.0, blockchain, AI all together. And by definition, the Boeing 787 is perhaps considered the safest aircraft in the world. And you can see here the challenge. If you ever put an aircraft together or a battleship and that, you know how many suppliers and parts around the world it is. So it's quite a challenge. So you can see how blockchain international fits in, predicting quality issues, and real-time monitoring. So it's really, really makes sense. Shows how it ties together, and then kind of the results that we're getting. Next is smartphones. So what I did is showed, here's TSMC, showing you a wafer with the chips on it. If you've ever been you're down to that wafer down there. It's in everything. So look at what the size of you're dealing with. Transistors that are 5/1000th of a meter, 300 manufacturing steps. So naturally, you're going to have technology in there. And so you're in again, lot tracing, all of this because of the failure mode. And I saw, look at this the third line under challenge. A single defective chip costs $15,000 in materials. So with the amount of chips going through a fab shop and going out, you're talking millions, billions of dollars. So it's very important. Medical device. So I did this sort of personal. I worked at, I was a competitor of medical Medtronics pacers, actually beat them in the industry. And then I've actually been an alumni of them. But what I will show you is you really have to really know the supply chain, and here's where blockchain and AI fit in. And what you see at the bottom right is the pacer, the smallest pacer there is at the bottom right. And now you're looking at the new leadless pacemaker that fits actually in the chamber of the heart and does the triggering of the heart. And all of this is being monitored. You can do it over the phone lines, but if you have any issues, you can immediately be notified, and it can save the patient's life, and you can keep track of all the parts. So like I said, you combine all 3 of them and you've got a powerful solution. And then getting started, just think of it as 4 phases. You're going to assess, what do you really need? What makes sense? You're going to pilot. You want to start small. I say the smaller it is, you want to verify the concept. You want to start small. You want to fail fast, and then you want to scale. Phase 3, you want to scale, and then you want to look at, it's not going away. What's the next stage? And then I thought you'd find this interesting. These are the five common challenges you hear. Oh, our systems are too old. It's too expensive. Oh, people are going to resist change. We don't have data scientists, cybersecurity. Well, those are your mitigation type comments to it and the approach to make it successful. You're always going to have the soothsayers, but you're always going to have to look at moving forward. So here's what's coming next. When I say near term out to 2030, guess what? Some of that stuff is already here. Quantum computing, IBM, advanced AI. You're talking about agentic AI now, 6G networks, AR, VR. I was working on that years ago, so it's here and that. Nanotechnology is here, sustainability, space manufacturing. I went to a conference and they're talking about mining asteroids now, and one asteroid had more minerals on it than they could possibly use in the world in 100 years. It was wild what they were talking about. And then again, looking at the human collaboration. So this is where we're going. So key takeaways from this, it's happening now. So it's not something in the past or in the future. It's all going together now. You're seeing all kinds of technologies been interlaced to be effective. You're seeing tremendous cost benefits, both from a personal standpoint and from a professional standpoint. And the key thing is, it's not going away. So the early adopters are going to be the most successful. You look at it as a business, the impact on the business and the profitability. For the career, we're sort of talking about AI and that. Our sister company, Program Management, has actually started a certification program and looking at a certification program on AI and new technology that will probably be introduced next year. So bottom line, not going away is something that you need to really embrace and look at it, because it's going to affect you in every aspect of your life. And with that, I'll open it to any questions.
I guess I would have just a general question for the participants. Who among you are using AI to some degree today in your role? Anybody have some examples of what they're doing today with AI? Well, I know I use AI quite often, almost, I wouldn't say daily, I guess, but I use quite a few different platforms, whether it's creating video or visuals from text to, I propose a rough draft in my terminology. I have AI go out and reference, say, the Baldrige framework and put my statements in the context of Baldrige, and it comes back and it links, it does the crosswalk between ISO and Baldrige, or between ISO and SPC. You name it, AI can help you do that crosswalk, and makes for a much more interesting proposal if that's what you're working on, or an opening statement for some presentation you might be developing for management. So it doesn't have to be purely technical in nature. It just help you be more productive and help with your total role as an engineer.
So Bob, we've got a lot of stuff going on in the chat here. So
Yeah, see that. So John's using AI to streamline procedures. Yep, writing SOPs or work instructions. Very good. Helps make organized presentations. There are a lot of people who don't like PowerPoint. There's quite a few new AI tools out there to help put together presentations. There's one I use called Gamma. Excellent, excellent tool. I use it quite often to create presentations without having to use PowerPoint. And there are many others.
Yeah, and here's a tip for people doing prompts. Yeah, I see you're doing standards and that. So I did this. I'm on 2 national committees, so we're always educating people. So the lead into, I put a prompt in, I put verifiable. So I want to have the information verifiable. I want no bias because I want it to be neutral. I want no hallucinations. So that tells me that the model's right.
Exactly.
And then I want no fabrication. And if you put that into the lead to your prompt, you sometimes can see 40% of the information go away, but you're down to very verifiable information. And so I would advise anybody when you're using AI, whatever program you're using, put that in front of your prompt. And another trick I do, my last prompt is there anything I missed?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very good points, John. I've been using that verifiable, no hallucinations, no bias for quite some time. The no fabrication is a good ad.
Yeah.
And always, just like building a survey, you get done developing the survey, you want to ask the person, the respondent, so is there a question you were planning that I was going to ask, but I didn't ask? So am I missing something? How could I have asked this prompt differently to get a more meaningful response?
Yeah.
You could say, how could I have asked this prompt differently given a particular audience or focus? So it's the iterative nature of AI responses is really very productive. See, Michael says he's used AI to compare various quality program standards. Jeff says translating letters to be specific to member diagnosis and criteria to provide information that's easy to read and understand. Good. All good uses of AI.
So I use an example in some of the work I do. I will do a lot of benchmarking. So if I take a certain standard, I will find out what other standards are comparable to it.
Yeah. Good point. Anyone else have a question or observation, maybe dealing with something with blockchain or quality? What are we up to now? 5.0 or 6.0? I know we're at industry 6 or 7. But
Well, we're supposed to be at 5.0, but there's examples of 6.0 and 7.0 out there. If you get into the nanotechnology, the computer technology, the advanced, there's work being done by NVIDIA, there's work by being IBM, which is technically generation 6 and 7. And that's as far as I've seen so far, but I've heard people are already planning 8 and 9. So it's just advancing so rapidly now.
yeah, the pace of change is exponential right now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate your presentation. It's always good to touch base. We only live about a mile from each other.
Yeah, I know.
I see you more often on Zoom than I do in the neighborhood. The wonders of technology.
That's right.
So if there's no more questions, I'm going to shut the recording off so that this can be posted on my ASQ for people to review John's presentation.
Yeah, if you want to copy the presentation and the video, or show it to your